Coco Shala or Kocoatrait?
Oh, impossible to choose.
Solid chocolate or chocolate based products?
Solid chocolate, I would say.
Okay, great. And let's move to the last question, which is cocoa farmers or chocolate consumers?
Cocoa farmers. They're just so important in the value chain that the consumers wouldn't exist if we don't service the cocoa farmers, right? So for us, it's cocoa farmers surely.
Hello, guys, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Sustainability Simplified, your bi monthly dose of how to seamlessly build an action oriented, sustainable, and profitable business, which is also now the official podcast of the Sustainability Council.in, an international network of sustainability enthusiasts, professionals, experts, and entrepreneurs. Register on sustainabilitycouncil.in. I'm your host, Zitin. And today, oh my God, my mouth is already watering as I say this. But we have with us the co founder of the world's first sustainable chocolate brand, which is Kocoatrait. And his name is eerily similar to mine. Welcome, Nitin. It's wonderful to have you on the show. How are you today?
Pleasure, Zitin. Yes, it's such a coincidence, that the first letter is only different, and
Yeah.
absolute pleasure for me to be here.
So great to have you on the show, Nitin. Let's dive in, shall we?
Sure.
Wonderful. So let's start by if you can just give little bit of an introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So thanks a lot for the introduction, Zitin. I'm not going to spend too much time on introducing myself, but I'll keep it short and simple and relevant, to this conversation,
Sure.
especially about sustainability. We're basically, both me and my wife, we are chocolate tasters by profession who have become chocolate makers as well, which was kind of the natural progression for us.
Right.
As background, we don't really have a culinary background to get us qualified to do what we're doing today. But what we decided was that's really the way to do it. If you come into a profession with some baggage, that baggage is very difficult to get away with or get away from, right? So we decided we'll approach chocolate making
Right.
in a very unique and different way. And what helped us is our background, which is nowhere connected to chocolate. My wife, for instance, is she's done an MA in mass communication, and I've done an MS in retail business management. So it has nothing to do with chocolate, other than maybe it helps in a little bit of retailing, and
Right.
the communication part of it probably my wife gives in a lot of inputs. But what got us here, is very interesting, and I can talk a little bit through the show about it. But
Yeah.
what's relevant here is we are chocolate tasters, and we decided that we would go backwards and kind of backward integrate with what we think is the right thing to do. So we first learned chocolate as a product before even learning how to make it, right? So we did a chocolate tasting certification course where we understand the final product, and we worked backwards, learned how to make chocolate. Then we set up our own institute, and here we are with a brand of chocolates, which is as a matter of fact, probably the most sustainable chocolate brand in the world.
Right, right. Absolutely. Sounds super delicious. So thanks a lot for sharing that, Nitin. Let's now also talk a little bit about sharing more about, let's say, your journey with, starting Cocoa Trade, and, what a little bit about also its USPs and, your view on sustainability at large as a concept, because it's still picking up pace in a developing market like India.
Right. I'll pick on the last piece first, and I think we've already arrived, rather than saying it's picking up. I think from a sustainability standpoint, I think India, the way it has progressed in the last 2 years, is probably, neck to neck or shoulder to shoulder to so many other countries in the kind of things we're doing, right?
Right.
I know that from very close perspective, because I follow things very, very closely as far as sustainability is concerned. And I think we are better off than so many other countries, as a matter of fact, right?
Right,
So
right.
I would always put it as a developing market like India, yes. But as far as sustainability is concerned, I think we shouldn't typecast ourselves as a developing country or
Right.
anything of that sort. I think we are, equal in almost all aspects when it comes to sustainability, or at least the efforts that we are putting in, as far as sustainability is concerned.
Correct, correct.
Just talking a little bit about my journey, as you had asked. So it is quite a coincidence that we are in chocolate, and maybe it was destiny, and that's how we are here. But it so happened that one of my consulting assignments that I was doing with Godrej Nature's Basket was at that point of time with Godrej, and they had hired me as a consultant through a consulting company, and I was setting up their store chain.
Okay.
And that's when I actually tasted one of the best chocolates, that I could get access to in the world. It was an Italian brand called Amadai. So they had sent over a set of chocolates, and I tasted it, and I quickly called the person who had sent over the chocolates from Italy to figure out what's different. And I think the taste or the flavor said it all. So I realized that there is a lot more to chocolate at that point, and that was probably the light bulb
Right.
moment for me, where I realized there is so much more to figure out when it comes to chocolate. But I was in a retail consulting role because that's what my education was about. And over a period of time, chocolates were not first priority for me. Back in 2012 or 13, when I decided I want to come back to India, I realized that chocolate is perhaps my calling, because there is an affinity, if you can call it so, towards chocolate, as far as I'm
Right,
concerned.
right.
And it became more interesting because I saw a pure business opportunity there, because people were talking about wines, and mind you, people didn't even start talking about coffee back then in 2013. So people were talking about wine, and it was a big thing. Knowing anything about wine was quite a big thing at that point of time. But about chocolates, I think it was quite nascent, and I decided that I want to educate myself. So I did my chocolate taster certification, and then one thing after the other, as I said, we worked backwards. We formed an institute called Coco Shala in Chennai. Once we learned how to make chocolate itself, we started offering courses, and
Right.
we take up a stall in Amsterdam in an exhibition called Chocoa, which happens annually in the month of February. So before the pandemic, we used to almost be there every year, and we used to market our courses there. And one thing we heard very clearly in 2018 was people coming and
Okay.
saying, "Do you teach how to run a sustainable chocolate business?" And for us, to be honest, it was Greek and Latin at that point of time. We didn't understand much about what was being asked of us,
Right.
but we kind of heard it over 4 days so often that we realized, that there is a need for us to think further, in this aspect. We decided that, we have 1 year, and when we come back next year, we don't know what we're going to do in this 1 year, but next year we will be presenting the best, or the most sustainable chocolate in the world that will be produced by us. That's all we knew when we left Chocoa in 2018. So from 2018, we knew that we had 1 year to come back to Chocoa and present to the world the most sustainable, chocolate brand in the world from India. So that was our aim and motive, and we came back very clearly and surely after that. After a lot of hard work in that 1 year, where everything fell into place, more easily than we had anticipated. To be honest, we just realized that it's not that we are geniuses. It is just that nobody has got out of their comfort zone and attempted to do things,
Right.
right? So if there is, and the old saying, right, if there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
So if I'm sure if somebody would have attempted this before us, they would have maybe achieved similar or more success. But the fact is that nobody even bothered probably going this direction, and we ended up bringing a chocolate to Amsterdam, which, by the way, the Indian ambassador actually launched at the show, which gave us a lot of pride, to be honest. But what also ended up being the first chocolate that cared about the planet in the true sense,
Right.
because
Right.
yeah, and packaging is one part of the chocolate experience that always gets kind of criticized, and that's literally the first thing we addressed. We built up a wrapper. We worked with a maker who built up the wrapper for us, which was paper and plastic free. So, and after that, we came back and we realized that though the launch of the chocolate was in Amsterdam, the real market is India, because that's the opportunity we saw, and that's how Kocoatrait really started. We started selling in Chennai in 2019, and before the pandemic struck, luckily we had a website. So over the pandemic, I think we've become like a very inclined B2C business, D2C business. That's what they call it, right? So that's how it all started for us.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. You did also fleetingly mention about the fact that there is a demand for people to learn, about sustainable chocolate making. So, can you tell us a little about Coco Shala as well?
Sure. So Coco Shala itself, is our way to spread knowledge. The reason why we decided to do that, because a lot of people think, you're a chocolate maker, you have a skill, you have a knowledge base yourself. So why would you ever teach people and build competition? And I think that's a very yesteryear world view, to be honest, because in the coming few years and in the next generation, it is all going to be about knowledge sharing, data and information, and collaboration.
Right, right.
We decided that what good is it going to be that we have all this data, all this passion that we have for research, both me and my wife. What good is it going to be if it lies with us? And
Correct.
we didn't want to be selfish in a way. And we decided that, listen, if there's a business opportunity, let's also make some money out of it, which will help us sustain our brand and our efforts of research and development itself in the first place.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, we decided that Coco Shala should form an integral part of our offering, and that's also a way for us to connect with people. They join the course when they've started their journey, so we get connected with people in the beginning of their journeys, and we've seen over a period of time that our students are our best critics, and also our best clients in a way, because
Right.
they continue to need help. And there have been so many examples where we've set up, helped them set up factories themselves for them, and also units where we have them fermentation, drying, and all of that for cocoa beans. So I think the institute itself is quite a important part in our plan. Now we have a larger influence basically over people, because we are connected with them at the root level.
That's absolutely right. It's a lot about also seeing the opportunity, seeing the demand, seeing the need for it, as well as the sustainability of your own business. So, early on in our conversation, you did mention how you got introduced to this whole concept of chocolate tasting and flavors because of the Italian brand that of chocolate that you tasted.
Yes.
But is there any reason why you specifically chose the product of chocolates to make a difference to the planet, really?
Oh no! So that I must admit, I don't know if I've done it earlier ever, but that was by chance, right? So I think
Right,
it's it's
right, right.
it's a lot about destiny and what you've, I think, destined to do, and somehow you don't have control over a lot of things, and this was one of them. We just got attracted to chocolates, and in the way we realized that, my God, apart from potato chips, which is crisps, the chocolates are probably most polluting thing ever.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
so so we decided that this is probably the right balance for us, because if we are able to make a difference, which I think we quite easily did when we started off as well, that's the only reason why we're in chocolates. But we are very happy to be in the chocolate business, because it helps us on one side bring smile to people and also save the planet in a very small way.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's very well put, and that's brutally honest. So I'm happy about that because it was something that was on my mind. I'm like, but chocolate क्यों यार? मतलब और कुछ भी pick up कर सकते थे आप. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of demand. It is a unique product in that sense for the sustainability piece. So it's great that you guys are doing such awesome work.
Can I also add something about a question which you asked, unfortunately didn't answer?
Sure.
And this was about my views on sustainability.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to answer this from the beginning, and I just completely missed it. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
To me, sustainability, for most people, actually, sustainability means something to do with saving the planet, right? I somehow see things
Yeah.
a little beyond that,
Yeah.
because yes, of course, it is about saving the planet, the environment, all of that, which is very obvious.
Yeah.
And the way sustainability has been used in the context in the last 10 years, I think people associate it with saving the planet very directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to us, sustainability is a little bit more than that. And of course, it applies to the planet as well, but we apply it to everything that we do in our business on a daily basis as well, right? So, sustainability stems from the word sustainable. And to me, my earliest understanding of this word sustainable means that, is it possible to do repeatedly without harming anything or anybody? Now, to me, it is about repeatability. So, for instance, is that thing doable repeatedly over and over again? To so to us, when we look at sustainability, it is a much broader term,
Right.
which when we get into working hours gets kind of confined to planet friendliness and eco friendliness. But otherwise, sustainability is such a large word that I have in fact tried to minimize the use of the word sustainability and be more specific, to be honest. Specifically, trying to do something about single use plastic or whatever it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always say that. I always, always, always say that. Like sustainability is the three P's, which is people, planet, and performance.
Yeah.
So it all goes hand in hand. It could be about livelihood building, it could be about empowerment of women, it could be about whatever else. It doesn't have to, like you rightly said, have to be about, really only the planet. So that's absolutely very well put. So thanks a lot for sharing that.
I must also tell you that my P's were slightly different from yours, and I've borrowed your performance P into my P.
Okay.
And this was when I when I heard you 6 8 months ago, was the first time I heard you. And when you mentioned performance, I said, "Gosh, how can we not? How can we be so foolish and leave out performance P?" So that credit
Yeah.
goes to you. For
Thank you
us, it's
so.
five P's, and one of them is performance now.
Right, that's absolutely wonderful because what happens is a lot of times also people talk about just profit, right? So the aspect of performance being profit, but actually performance is much more than that, right? It's local economic growth, rather development.
Yes.
It's also about your sales, your relationship with your partners, customers, suppliers, etc., etc. So there's a lot more to performance beyond profit, which a lot of people put down as really one of the p's. So I'm happy that performance is a part of one of your five p's, so that's great to know.
No, no, thanks to you.
Thank you. So amazing. So now moving on. Of course, every entrepreneurial journey is not always smooth. So we would like to know a little bit about the challenges and maybe even the opportunities that you may have faced or capitalized on since Cocoatrait really started operations.
Thanks for asking this question, actually, because every once in a while we look back and try to understand what were the challenges that we had to spend a lot of time, effort, or get anxious about, to be honest. But
Right.
look back, when your intentions are set,
Yeah.
I think nothing comes your way, or at least if anything comes your way, it gets it kind of gets solved very easily. And that's really been our experience, all this while. We are trying to save the planet by producing chocolate so that people don't use single use plastic. I think the world or the planet rewards us in unimaginable ways. And one of the rewards we've always got is we've not had challenges to deal with,
Right.
right? Or at least we've not had challenges to worry about.
Right.
There were challenges, but then it almost came with answers. It is just about applying ourselves very, very a little, and getting the solution to it.
Right.
As funny as it may sound, not many people actually attempted making a wrapper with the cocoa shells that were left out of our roasting process.
Right.
There were people who gave half attempts, half-hearted attempts, maybe thinking it is too early and people didn't care about it. But I think the only thing we did was we said we have an intention, and we have clear conviction that we will make a difference.
Absolutely.
Now, when both of that comes together, I think there are no challenges that you think of as challenges. It's just a situation which you say, okay, I woke up in the morning, I have this to think about now. Let's see how we solve it by the end of the day. And that's why we don't look at almost anything as challenges now. But I think there are so many opportunities that have come our way, which even today we've not actually
Okay.
addressed. That is something to be happy about, because though we've not addressed many problems, there are still many opportunities. There are still some opportunities that we've addressed and which has got us so far. And I think the biggest opportunity for us was this segment of consumers who want or need. I think from more want, it has now turned to need
Yeah.
um, eco-conscious or eco-friendly products.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that opportunity we couldn't see earlier on, but as we decided and set our intentions right, we could see that opportunity very clearly. And I think we've catered to a small percentage of that need, in the market. And I think there are so much more to achieve going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well put. So, thanks a lot for sharing that. This is really great stuff. And I'm sure that our listeners will also benefit from listening to some of these pearls of wisdom in some ways. So, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Great. So, before moving to the concluding section of the podcast, let's do a surprise section, which is the this or that section. So, basically, it's like I'll give you two options and you have to just pick one from them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, ready?
Okay, sure.
Fab. Okay. So, Amsterdam or Chennai?
Amsterdam.
Okay. Next is Coco Shala or Coco Trait?
Oh, impossible. Impossible to choose. Absolutely.
But if you had to choose one.
No, it's to me, it's not Coco Shala or Coco Trade. To me, it's the same word. So it's impossible to define that word. I'll have to pass this one.
Okay. Great. Okay, cool. Okay, next is sugar free chocolate or I don't mind the calories.
Oh, I don't mind the calories, clearly.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
sugar-free chocolate is not chocolate. So very interestingly, even the FSSAI now is moving it away from food regulation to nutraceutical regulation. These
Okay.
sugar-free
Okay.
ingredients. So I think it's we're so happy that we don't make sugar-free chocolates because that's not a thing. It's in the long run more harmful than good.
Right. Right. Okay. Next is solid chocolate or chocolate based products.
Solid chocolate, I would say.
Okay. Great. And let's move to the last question, which is cocoa farmers or chocolate consumers.
Cocoa farmers. They're just so important in the value chain that the consumers wouldn't exist if we don't service the cocoa farmers, right? So for us, it's cocoa farmers surely.
Absolutely. Very well put. Great. So let's move to the final segment. So tell us a little bit about any advice that you might, like to give our listeners, especially those who may like to pursue this space of sustainable chocolate.
Yeah. So the advice I would give anybody looking at the sustainable space, whether it is chocolate or not, will be that India is the place for you to invest your time, effort, and money in, because as a country we've not even got started yet, and the kind of positive feedback that we get or anybody gets in this business is commendable. What you need is a demand, and then your job becomes easier. We are at that point in this equation with sustainable products and especially chocolates, if you ask me, where the demand will surely outstrip the supply. So the supply just needs to be channelized and organized properly. That's all there is you need to do. I would rather chase an opportunity that exists, where the demand exists, rather than trying to create new demand. This is the right time, and any amount of energy, effort, or time that you need to invest should be invested in India, because the returns are going to be very, very, very large.
Great. So that was some awesome advice once again. I know you dropped a few pearls of wisdom earlier, so thank you for adding more to those. So let's move to the last part, which is how could our listeners really reach out to you and Coco Trait if they wish to know more and or enjoy the super delicious and sustainable chocolates that you guys have to offer?
Sure. I mean, I think today, because of the social media influence we all have, I think Instagram is probably a good space. It's
Right.
KOCOATRIT, and that's where you can find us. Otherwise, our website, which is COCOATRAIT. That's cocoatrait.com.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm pretty certain that this entire conversation will motivate a lot of people to really start and continue their journey of building and growing purposeful businesses like yours and also taking to a purposeful life. So, thank you so much again, Nitin. Take care. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this podcast, feel free to share it in your network. My one takeaway from this episode was conviction and the right intention is the recipe to a smoother enterprise. If you found this podcast insightful, and if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or have an operating business, but don't know how to kickstart or grow your sustainability journey, then stay tuned for something exciting coming your way. Follow me on my socials to find out more about what's in store.